Cuticles, we all know cuticles as being this edge here where the skin and the nail meet. And so you can sort of see how there's a little white line there on the cuticle. Some cuticles are a lot thicker on the border, and in some cases there's a misconception that they should be cut off. But the rule is you should never, never, ever cut your cuticles. So this area that we see right here, I'm just going to use my stick to point at it. There's actually another name for this thick skin here. And that sometimes gets cut off. It should never, ever be cut off. So what this is, it protects any dirt going into your skin. So you should always have it there. So imagine just like your car windows where you have the weather stripping. Okay, that's supposed to keep the water from getting inside your car. So in this case, it's there to protect you from getting anything inside your body. So what do they mean by cuticle remover? Like, why would they have cuticle remover? Cuticle remover is actually meant to remove the skin that remains on your nail. So you see this white here, there's like a layer that when the nail grew out, part of the skin stayed on the nail. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we say cuticle, removing your cuticle. Okay, so what happens at the border of your nail, all you should do is push it back. So you can push back the cuticle, but you never want to remove it. And pushing back the cuticle is going to help have your polish stay on a little bit longer because you don't have this layer that is in between your nail and your polish. Okay, so if you just finished clipping and shaping, your hands might feel a little bit dusty, which is why I have these. So what I recommend, because you don't want to wet your nails for too long, water is damaging to your nails. So water will absorb into your nail, and when you do a manicure, you want to keep them as dry as possible. But if it's too dusty to where you really can't stand it, the best thing to do is to just use some wet wipes just to get that dust off. Okay, so we're going to apply some cuticle remover so that we get all those dry skin off. So one other thing I want to point out is hangnails, right? So here's another area where you need to be very careful about how much you cut off. And a way to test it is maybe just run your finger along this direction. You may feel it a little bit. If you feel it a little bit, I would leave it alone. If it's so big to where it lifts, so this one is probably this is probably candidate. So I don't want to pull it too much, but just for purposes of a demonstration. If you have a little bit of skin hanging out like that, you do want to carefully trim it. Nail clippers are fine to trim them off. Just be very careful and don't try to clip off more. In other words, don't be pulling the skin to get more out of it. You should only cut what is already sticking out. So I'm just gonna cut it to the point where it's not sticking out, and we'll see later that the cuticle oil is going to soften up the skin. It really isn't something that should be trimmed off any more than that. So cuticle remover, my favorite is Blue Cross. I like to have it in this little container because it's a lot easier to apply. So I like having it in my little bottle. And what I'm going to do is just apply on the edge here. If you have that skin, so for me it comes up this much. If it comes up a little more, just make sure you apply some of this remover wherever you see that skin area on your nail surface. And it only takes a few seconds. You can use either the rubber cuticle pusher or you can use the wood. My preference is the wood stick. And all I'm going to do is push the cuticle back. Okay. Now, since I'm starting here and I push, I'm getting some of that cuticle layer that is on the surface of my nail. Okay. And then sometimes I even go in a circular motion just because it's a lot easier to get that cleaned up. So you'll see here, there's a little bit of residue that will come off. Okay, and this is only seconds after you put on the cuticle remover. It should dissolve the cuticle fairly quickly. So you'll see how I'm getting a little bit of that residue. This is the cuticle that we're trying to get rid of from the nail surface. Okay, so you want to clean up that surface of your nail. Okay, so you'll see you'll get some cuticle. And then this one, this was the worst nail I had. I may want to go over it again until I don't have any of this. Okay. So then you'll see that the cuticle is gone from there. Okay, so that is the step of removing cuticles from your nail surface.